Hi guys, this is Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel running on Linux. So I so far had no problems running this game on Linux. I didn't have a single crash. If you like Yu-Gi-Oh! And you want to play it on your Linux box, then you can definitely go for it. That's not a problem anymore. I think there were some games in the past which I could have theoretically bought on Steam, but I didn't choose to. But now that I can play it for free, I'm enjoying it. So, let's get to the profile itself. So, for the negate part, I have 2 copies of C Frame Gear Gamma, 2 Ash Blossoms, and 2 Ghost Bells. Now, the Ghost Bells should be replaced by Called by the Grave. If you are playing this deck, or if you plan on playing it, and you have the option to put Called by the Grave in there, you should definitely do that, because spells are always better than monsters in this deck if I got the same effect. Or the same purpose in this case. So I also have 3 copies of Jenny, which is a really strong card, because it can, in addition to the default Witchcrafter card effect up until level 4, which is to special summon any Witchcrafter monster from your deck by discarding a spell from your hand to the graveyard. It can also use an effect of a spell in your graveyard by banishing it and the spell to the banished zone. So this way you can not only still use the spells you have engraved, but in addition to that you can also use the spells twice in a row. So if you want to special summon, for example, 2 monsters from your graveyard, you can, if you got Jenny engrave, use the Holiday in your hand, then you get the Holiday in your graveyard, and then you can use Jenny to copy the effect of the Holiday, and then banish Jenny and the Holiday to special summon either one monster from your graveyard. So even if your opponent completely destroyed your field, you can basically resummon your 2 boss monsters, which are Witchcrafter Hane and the Madame. Okay, yeah, I think we're at the Jenny right now. Now I have 3 copies of Pittery, which is also pretty strong, but not that good. So if you plan on adding more spells to your deck, you can definitely remove some copies of Pittery, but I would at least stay at 1, because you somehow still need to special summon your Witchcrafter monsters, and you need the level 1 to level 4 monsters in your deck. And if you got a 60 card deck, the likelihood of you getting a hand without any monster that you can use in that turn is not that low, unfortunately. Okay, so this card can basically let you draw 1 additional card, but afterwards you have to dump a Witchcrafter card to the graveyard. This can be useful in a lot of occasions, because you will get the Witchcrafter card, if it was a spell, anyway, back to your hand. So it's pretty good. You can also use it at the end of your turn to just search for another card, and if it's a Witchcrafter card you can dump it to the graveyard, and then you will get it back to your hand. If not, then yeah, it will be dumped to the banished zone, but then you don't care. This card is also pretty strong, because it essentially allows you to send any Witchcrafter card from your entire deck to the graveyard by banishing itself. So a really strong effect if you want to, for example, activate the Jenny, because if you have Jenny engrave, you can dump any spell from your deck and use that effect in that turn. Or in addition to that, you could also dump the Jenny if you don't have that in your graveyard, and use any effect of your spells this way. So it's kinda neat. Now the Hane is also pretty good, because you basically have one pop of an enemy card, which has to be face up, unfortunately. And in addition to that, it makes all your spellcaster monsters untargetable. For some reason, I think this effect, however, doesn't work the way it should. in some ways. I don't know, for example, if DPE wants to target my Madame, it was actually able to in one of my games, which I don't quite understand. But yeah, whatever. So, the Madame itself is the strongest monster in the entire deck, because it essentially allows you to negate the entire field of monsters of your opponent. And in addition to that, it can boost the attack and defense of all your Witchcrafter monsters. Not only all your Witchcraft, all your Spellcaster monsters in the damage step by the number of spells you have currently in hand. But they have to be of a different name, however. So if you got 3 copies of Holiday, it means they only get 1000 attack. The Ororo is not that essential, but still a pretty good card, because you can return 1 card of your opponent back to the hand if he targets one of your Spellcaster monsters with a card effect. And in addition to that, you can then special summon this card from your hand and use it to battle on your next turn, for example, if it's just your opponent's turn and he activated some kind of effect to get rid of your Madame. I have 1 copy of Monster Reborn in it, which is not that essential. I have rarely used it, so you can replace that with anything you really want. The reasoning itself is only useful if you don't get to that Grasslook screener, because it essentially does the same thing. It dumps cards in your graveyard, which is always what you want with this deck. You want as many cards in your graveyard as possible. Yeah, and to get the Grasslook screener, I do have 3 copies of Left Arm Offering, which is unfortunately pretty wasteful, because you have to banish your whole hand to get just 1 spell. Now, if these spells you just banish, they are Witchcrafter spells, you can actually retrieve them back with a Patronus, if you got that on grave as well, by using the Grasslook screener. So if you get lucky, you can essentially have a cost-free Left Arm Offering, besides the effect of not being able to set any spells or traps in this turn, which you rarely do with this deck, so that's not even that big of a deal. Now this is obviously pretty good, since you can just discard any spell trap from your deck to the graveyard. This is just a good external. Now this is pretty good to get the Ororo, or if you don't have any low-level Witchcrafter monster in your hand, to special summon the Hane or the Madame, you can use that to get that directly from your deck. Now, with this deck you have to be really careful. Whenever you use a Witchcrafter spell, it won't be returned back to your hand in the end phase, because you can only use 1 effect of this card once per turn. So, yeah, if you don't have any spells in hand that way, just to get another special summon out, I would never go for that additional special summon, but instead for the additional card at hand, because without this card, the Madame is essentially completely useless. Now the Collaboration and the Holiday are also quite straightforward. The Holiday just special summons a Witchcrafter monster from your deck, from your graveyard, so it's essentially just a Monster Reborn. The Collaboration, it's one of your Witchcrafters attack twice in a row. The Prosperity is just for getting to that Grasslook screener or Left Arm Offering, or Reasoning, which is the worst case, which this is really what you don't want to see when you activate this. Now the Magician's right hand and left hand are only useful in combination with Magician's Restage. If you get lucky and this card is dumped to a graveyard by a Grasslook screener, you can just add 1 of these to your hand, and if you have the chance to get to the right hand, I would also always go for this one, because this is essentially only useful against Eldritch and Tri-Brigade with Revolt. So most decks can be stopped by using the right hand, and I think you should definitely aim for that. Also, it's an additional layer of protection against Forbidden Droplet, so that your Madame can still get the negate out. This card is probably also very useful together with the Shemitah. I usually use her if I have every card in the graveyard that I want, besides this one, to dump it, because this is also a great way to protect your Witchcrafters from being destroyed in the opponent's turn. Now this card is pretty useless, honestly. I rarely get to draw a card when using this. If you get to actually use this effect, it's probably also game anyway. Because once you can destroy your opponent's monsters using, for example, Hain, it's already over if you got Madame also on the field. If these both are on the field, you can actually OTK your opponent if he has a monster in attack position, because Madame can boost the attack of your Hain by, for example, 5000 if you got 5 spare cards on hand, and if you then use Collaboration from your graveyard using Jenny, you can attack twice, so this is probably GG then. The trapping is pretty useful against Eldritch, so I left one copy of it in there, although it does not prevent your opponent from activating it. It's pretty good against Skill Drain. So, also pretty good spell. The Unveiling is also useful for special summoning any monster from your hand, so if you got a Hain or a Madame in your hand, you want to get them on the field in some way. And the only way to really do that is by either dumping them using the Pittery effect, or by using the Unveiling. Lost Wind is also pretty good. This trap essentially gets added back to your field whenever your opponent special summons a monster from the extra deck, if this card is in the graveyard. So also a pretty good negate on this deck. Masterpiece is especially useful in combination with a Patronus, because with a Masterpiece you can special summon any Witchcrafter monster from your deck to your field in your opponent's turn, because it's not in the same turn. If you used Red Grass looks greener and the Masterpiece gets dumped to a graveyard, you can't use the Masterpiece in that turn. So in the next turn you can then activate Masterpiece to dump also Witchcrafter spells to the Banished Zone, and then use the Patronus to retrieve them back to your hand. So it's pretty strong. Yeah. And the extra deck itself isn't that important. So you got 2 Xyz here, which is not that commonly used, I think. I have never summoned this Magician, and without the Magician I'm not able to summon the Zeus. So both of them are essentially completely useless, and the whole purpose of the extra deck is being dumped by the Pot of Prosperity to a Banished Zone, essentially. I have 2 copies of Link Kuribo for some reason, which also doesn't make that much sense. But the only good card in the whole extra deck is the Selene, which can summon with this combination of spell cards easily 2 to 3 monsters if you want to. So you can use this to go into Access Code, which I usually do to end the game when I have enough monsters on field to summon the Selene. But yeah, so the extra deck itself isn't that useful. Okay, so that's everything I have to say about the main deck itself. So now I will just show you 2 quick replays from my recent duels, so that you can see some gameplay of the deck itself. I will just fast forward the replay itself, because there's not so much to talk about, essentially. So first of all, I summon the Shemitah, then I dump the restage graveyard, add one right hand, summon the Madame using the effect of the Shemitah, then I dump my whole hand just to get a Witchcrafter screener. And because my opponent didn't have a 6-card deck, I can make use of that Witchcrafter screener. So I use Shemitah to dump in additional Holiday, because I will have it in next turn. And now I get back all the spells from Graveyard, which I didn't use on that turn, which are unfortunately not that much. So this is negated, and for some reason he had Habesweaver Dester, and he didn't use it for that. I honestly don't know why. It's probably due to the fact that I had Buy Street and he wanted to get rid of that. Now he goes into Anaconda and summons DP. Now I just show him 2 cards, a damage step, and DP is gone. And I don't know what he thought, honestly. But let's go for the second free play. I got lucky on this one. I directly drew that Grasstock Screener, and I'm actually facing a meta deck right now. Fortunately, it's not Swordsoul. Swordsoul is really hard to deal with, honestly, but Tribe Brigade is manageable. And I also got lucky on the last one draw. So I baited the Ash out to get that Grasstock Screener off, to use the Shemitah to dump a Holiday, and with that I can summon her to dump the restage, because I need that engraved to get the effect of itself off, and I can special summon the Madame. Now I did choose the right hand, probably due to the fact that the other one was already dumped. Yeah. Unfortunately, this was dumped to the graveyard using that Grasstock Screener. Otherwise, I would have chosen the other one, because Tribe Brigade heavily relies on the Revolt. I got quite a few cards in my hand. 4 cards are more than enough for anything I could place. Now I activate Masterpiece to make my Madame completely untargetable by monster and card effects in general of the opponent. Now I force anything, and it was an infinite impermanence. For some reason he chose to imper my hand. And now I can activate my Lost Wind. Now I special summon another name to OTK the opponent. Add a few spells back using the Patronus. Activate the Shemitah. Dump the Jenny to activate the collaboration in my graveyard so I can attack 2 times. And now I increase the attack of my aim to 5400 and I re-attack and it's GG. So, 2 pretty quick duels, honestly. So, that's all that I wanted to show you. As you can see, I'm currently at Plat 1, but this is not actually my rank with this deck, because as of now, Master Duel is full of bots I've been facing in the past, so yeah, on the one hand, I'm only facing opponents which usually are not on this rank, so I can easily beat them. And in addition to that, I often face bots, so that increases my rank as well. So, yeah, probably this is a deck which you can still play with at Platinum 1, but I don't think it will handle itself really well. You won't get into Diamond with this one. At most Diamond 5 or something. Yeah, but that's all I wanted to say, and yeah, thanks for watching.